Hi, I am Kedger on 2 Wheels, and today we will test the Suzuki VStrom 1050. The 1050 is just marketing because the engine is the same as previously, just slightly updated with the same displacement. So this is the VStrom 1000 with an extra detail. So let's go do a not as quick front to back, and the first thing we hit is this large tire. This is a 19-inch rim with 110 width tire at the front, so it is a nearly off-road wheel. It's those want to be off-road but don't really want to. The tires, however, are Battleaxe Adventure, and the Adventure part is just marketing because these are 100% road tires. If I'm being very nice to them, I'll call them 90% road, 10% off-road. No, these are road tires. Right behind the tires we have dual ABS brakes with combined braking and lean assist. We'll get to that when we get to the rest of the electronics a bit further back. We have inverted suspension, adjustable in tension up here and compression down there. And then we have the only section on this beautiful bike that just looks, well, frankly weird. Because it is a pretty bike, right? Suzuki made an actually pretty bike. It's amazing. And then you roll around and you look at this and you go, oh my! So this, I'm not going to call it ugly, I'm going to call it different optic. Is actually a homage to the Suzuki Big DR, which was the bike that brought us these duckbills and this specific squarish optic. So it's a homage. It's full LED, high beams, low beams, indicators front and rear brakes. Well done, Suzuki. I like to see every single manufacturer going the LED way. And then behind this we have the first thing I honestly do not like off this bike right off the bat, which is this windscreen. It is huge. Look how tall it is. This is the tallest section. I can lower it, and let me see how to lower it. I have to get off the bike, go around, come to the front and do this. And this is not an easy thing. It still needs a bit of force, and then go down, and then lock it again. Nowadays this is just silly. The previous VStrom had an awesome way, which was just an awesome mechanism. Just click it and it would change the inclination. Okay, granted, Suzuki wanted to change the height directly, but this is just a silly way to go around it. Okay, the competition usually has some sort of lever here that slides it up and down. It really should not be hard, and this is just silly. Suzuki, fix this quickly, please. Moving back, we have a great dash, fully electronic, very readable, lots of information, sometimes a bit bunched up, but it works. Another often overlooked little feature is this accessory bar, which is the same width as the top of your handlebar. So whatever fits your handlebars will fit here, and this does not move or vibrate at all. This is an awesome little touch and way ahead of all the competition. I like it a lot. Moving back, let's go to the heart of it. It has a ton of electronics. It has what Suzuki very pompously calls SIRS, which is Suzuki Intelligent Riding System. It's basically a few sensors spread around the bike, which can detect the weight, the load on the bike, and inclination, acceleration, etc. So then it decides dynamically on the spot how much braking, when you brake with your levers, and it is a combined braking system, and then decides how much brake to throw to the front, how much to throw to the back, and how to apply the ABS, depending on your inclination, how much ABS goes to each wheel, etc, etc, etc. And all of this works in the background, so you don't even notice that it's working. You just notice that it's a safe bike. This is how electronics should be done. It's just something that works in the background to keep you safe. Great. For 1,500 euros, it is an expensive bike, but suddenly it starts becoming inexpensive. This starts becoming a really good bang for buck as you start looking at these details. And there's more. Remember on the last reviews, nearly all the last reviews where I complained that there are just too many buttons on the bike? Well, on the Suzuki, even with all these electronics, on the left side there are only 3 extra buttons other than the standard indicators, high beams, low beams and horn. 3 buttons. There's one here on the left for cruise control. 3 buttons. The rest has like 15, 18, 11 buttons here. That's just ridiculous. These 3 buttons work extremely simply, and this is the way it should always be. I don't understand why this isn't the standard. There's one button called mode, which changes what we are going to change, and then there's another that goes up and another that goes down, and that's it. That's all we need. You want to change your traction control? Flick it until the selection's on traction control, go up, go down. Want to change what the dash is showing? Press mode until it's on the dash and then change the display. Want to set cruise control? Press the cruise control button. Button up to increase speed, button down to decrease speed or set speed. It's super simple and it's the way it should work. The other manufacturers can come take pictures, learn this and just make this standard. It just works perfectly and it is super easy to use. Awesome. Completely awesome. Continuing back, we have another little detail. Crash bars. Stock. Out of the box. The whole bike is out of the box. And it has crash bars. It also has a center stand, which some manufacturers have decided to skimp on, because this is a 150 to 200 euro extra. The crash bars are 100 euro extra. Okay, these are not particularly large crash bars, but it's there. And then another little detail. This, which you can barely see, are actually the spots where you can stick the side cases. Okay, it's not the aluminum ones, it's the plastic ones, but still, it's already here. This is an extra that usually costs nearly 300 euros. The rear, as is nearly standard on all V-Stroms, it's a rear rack. If you want to stick a top case here, you just need to buy the top case, put the base here and screw it on. This rear rack for the top case usually costs another 150 bucks, 150 to 200. So these 4 things, the side case pegs, the rear rack, the center stand, the crash bars, and let's exaggerate a bit, and the accessory bar, this is nearly 100 euros, 1,000 euros just in accessories that come out of the box on this bike. So suddenly this 15,000 euro bike is actually a 14,000 euro bike filled with electronics, and it starts to become a really, really good bang for buck bike, huh? Very well done, Suzuki. I really like it. Another detail. The most conservative Japanese manufacturer has made a day glow orange bike. This is insane and I love it. This turns heads. A Suzuki that turns heads and not for the bad reasons. Absolutely fantastic. Another thing you might notice when you get to it, it is a very, very tall bike. I am 1 meter and 74 centimeters tall. So I'm not exactly very tall, but I'm not short. And still this bike is huge. However, as you sit on it, you notice that it is very thin. It gives a very off-roadish feel because it is a really thin bike, especially where you sit. This section is like this wide. It's very thin. It's very tall, very thin, gives you a lot of that old school dirt bike feel, except for the weight, which is quite felt. It is intimidating a bit at first because of all the height and the weight, but once you get used to it, give it half an hour and it starts feeling great. But you're not here to look at the bike, you're here to see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. One thing I found is that I'll just keep the setting here on the riding mode, so I can switch it easily because A is quite snatchy. In the meantime, let's go. It's ridiculously fast, almost unmanageably so. It's a liter bike, perfectly normal. And then come the bends, and I'm quite surprised. This is way better than I was expecting. It just feels so tall puttering around in town. I'm just going to lower down to B. A is too snatchy for these bends. But puttering around town, it feels very tall, very off-roadish. But here, it's at home. Perfectly at home. That was some ridiculous lean, and it just went. And look, traction control activated. Okay, it's at the top level. I did not notice that, so let's put it in the middle. Okay. And it just works so wonderfully. Amazing. It's just so planted. It has no right being this nice here. It does not feel as off-roady as it looks, if that makes any sense. Because it really does look like an off-road bike, or more off-roadish. But here, nope. Here it just feels like a regular motorcycle. A pretty good one, actually. This is way better than just pretty good. This is excellent. I was not expecting this. I was not expecting this whatsoever. Quite impressive. Like the previous one, the nose still dives when you brake, like so. Wonk. But it's fine. It's a bit firmer. The suspension feels firmer. It still dives, but not as much. I was really expecting it to be off-roadish there, because the suspension feels very plush. So I thought, okay, yeah, this will be a bit, not quite wobbly, but soft there. But it's completely planted, and it is just stuck there. Yeah, and as soon as you go out of the road, these tires, which actually give you good feedback on pavement, give you excellent feedback on the off-road, on any kind of loose surface. They have excellent feeling, and the excellent feeling they give is that they have no grip whatsoever. With these tires, don't even try going off-road. It's a scary prospect, and that was just dirt. It wasn't anything at all. Hey, it actually works pretty well here. Then again, if you put some more mixed tires, it'll be more mixed, and if you put some proper knobby tires, maybe it'll work better off-road. Because it does feel like it. It is a bike that feels very thin, light, even though it weighs nearly 240 kilograms. So, going way north of 230, it shouldn't feel as light as this one, but it does. So let's see the bad pavement. This is great pavement, and then suddenly, bow, bad. And here, as it has to, it works great. It is mandatory that a bike like this has to work perfectly fine here, and this one does. By the way, I have ABS in the minimum, which allows me to skid the rear a bit, like so. Which is a lot of fun. Not as much fun when you're barreling toward the car, braking as hard as you can, with just the rear brake. Mind you, I was keeping the front brake for an emergency, like so. So I like this ABS setting. You have two settings for the ABS. The normal one, the value 1, which is the normal ABS, where it just activates as soon as the wheel starts locking, and 2, and obviously off. No, actually you don't have off. Oh yes, you do have off. And no, you don't have off. Okay, you only have 1 and 2. And setting 2, which is letting it slide for quite a while before unlocking, which is nice for off-roading, apart from the unlocking the wheels suddenly when you weren't expecting. And the off will probably, as these bikes are usually done, you raise the bike on the center stand, you put it in first gear, and then you brake with the front brake, and the ABS, the software just crashes because it's not supposed to have a completely locked up front while the rear is spinning easily. Another cool thing, I'm just going to go over the electronics very, very quickly without going into the technical bits. That will be later. The electronics work in the background to keep you safe, and that's how these things should be. The ABS and the and the traction control are lean sensitive, so they know how much you are cornering, so they activate the correct way to keep you safe. I've tried, see if I can do it again, braking hard to lock up the wheel during a corner, and there's no drama. It's not the usual where the bike slides the rear tremendously and then the ABS unlocks the wheel and it just wobbles. No, it's still, you still hear and feel the ABS, but it's not a big deal, honestly. It's quite awesome. The traction control also works the same way, and this is a real kicker, and I really like this innovation, is that the brake distribution is also dynamic. It depends on how much weight there is on the bike. It has a sensor, and so it distributes your brake balance according to how weighted the bike is, which is a pretty nice little touch. And I've gone a bit too technical, but still, wow, this feels great, man. And then you come to the slow bits, and you can still do this. It's still an easy to maneuver bike. This is your normal ABS, okay? This is your ABS that lets you slide with the ABS going on and off, the pedal vibrating. Mode 1, the one you heard, that I'm going to show you again, and let you slide slightly a bit for off-roading purposes. Okay, brake now, full rear brake. Did you hear it? The squeak, longer squeaks, longer stretches with the road locked. More fun, obviously, more dangerous, obviously, but if you're on lower grip and you want to turn the bike off-road style, that will allow you to do something until it unlocks the wheel unexpectedly and ruins whatever you were planning to do. But I like this mode. This is a nice mode. Sometimes you want to be able to lock up the wheel just a little bit, and here it is, like for example here. Thing is, cornering, it changes the behavior and just works great. I could not slide the rear on that, no matter how much I tried. Nice. So, undulating pavement. This is proper fast. Undulating pavement, not a lot of grip, and long turns. How will this fare? Does give a lot of confidence. It does give a lot of confidence, but here finally we see the plush suspension. Not on the corners, but any bump on the straight, and I was undulating for a bit more than I would like. But the trade-off for that is a 100% road bike that cannot do any sort of off-road. So that's why this is a bit plusher. Like this, saw that? Wank, wank. But even so, it exudes confidence and grip. It's awesome. That was great. It is so easy. It's such an easy bike. And as a result, being this easy means that you can do long rides going fast without getting really tired. It's effortless. It's not stressing at all. The engine is, since being a liter bike, is obviously a monster engine. Can't overtake here, I would show you. But it is a monster engine. I'm still only in B mode, not A, because I want to do a test ride and not being concentrated in managing throttle. C is very drivable. It's a, if I had one, I would probably stay most of the time in C. It just works. You don't really need much more than that. And then go B for a bit more fun, and when I would go all out fun, then A. And it doesn't feel heavy on the corners or anywhere really. It's just a really, really good road bike. I'm really impressed. Well done, Suzuki. Was not expecting that. Was not expecting that at all. So at the end of the day, we're back at MIGTech to deliver the Suzuki VStrom 1050 XT. So what is this? This is an excellent compromise between road and off-road. Even though I did not actually try any off-road or any semi-decent off-road, because these tires are just not made for it. They're just pure road tires. They're horrible in anything that is not pavement. So apart from that, this bike handles way better than it has any right to on the roads. It's simply amazing. It weighs 230 and way too much, okay? It is very heavy. It should be a lot lighter, but it is not. It is very tall, but since it is so thin, the tallness stops being a factor. The weight distribution is very well made, so you don't really feel the weight. And it just works. Everything just works the way you expect it to. For example, I did not talk about the engine because I forgot about the engine, because it is simply that good. You forget everything about the engine, which is what you want for a long touring bike. You do not want to be managing the throttle all the time. You do not want to be thinking, I wish I had more power. It is just perfect, on the spot. Not too much, not too little. You always have enough power. The torque curve is basically flat, so you have the same power everywhere in the rev band. You are never surprised by it. If you roll throttle, it's going to do exactly as you say. If you roll too much, it's going to be exciting. If you roll too little, it'll roll softly forwards. The very easy to use engine mappings allow you to quickly tune the bike to what you want. I've done this. You can go from puttering around in town in C mode, so it's easier and easy to manage, and then go into an open road and quickly switch into A, and off you go. Way better than all other bikes. Another huge point forwards, it's this control scheme, which is absolutely perfect, and I want all manufacturers to adopt this as standard. That's all you need. One button to change the mode, one button for up, one button for down. Stop the profusion of 50 billion buttons in here, okay? This is awesome, and this makes the whole bike super easy to work with, super easy to live with, super easy to just ride. You just ride. This is ultra intuitive. Another huge point that many people don't usually bother with, a proper accessory mount that doesn't vibrate. Many manufacturers try this, but then this is a mess of vibration, so you stick your GPS here, which is usually also has an arm. So this vibrates, the GPS vibrates, and the only way to see where you're going is to go like this, trying to follow your crazy wobbling GPS. That doesn't work on this bike. It does. I like that Suzuki finally adopted some proper mirrors. This looks good instead of the round ones, which are the Suzuki mirrors by this time. I think that's the thing they're called now. And all the accessories that come stock, like the center stand, the crash bars, the mini crash bars, and the pegs to stick on your side cases without having to pay extra for it, which makes a 15,000 euro bike suddenly become a good value for money, because all of this is about $1,000, like I said before. So suddenly this isn't a 15,000 euro bike, it's a 14,000 euro bike, which is a great compromise between the ultra off-roady Africa Twin. Ultra off-roady maybe it's a bit too much. The off-roady Africa Twin, the 100% road GS 1200, the tracers, everything else, and this one sits straight in between without compromising any road performance. I really like this compromise. Suzuki, awesome. I would really like to be able to test one with some not proper road off-road tires, some more mixed off-road tires like the ones that come on the Tenere, just to see how it goes on dirt. but I think it will do fine on the dirt as long as you don't overdo it. This is not a dirt bike. This is to do some unpaved roads, some simple off-roading, the stuff where the GS owners take their bikes. This will do that brilliantly. More than that, it's just 16 centimeters ground clearance, so it's not going to go over any big obstacles. But at least for the off-road you can do, you'll do it comfortably. So yeah, that's it. The great compromise, the V-strom 1050 XT. I am really surprised, and congratulations Suzuki, you've made one very good motorcycle. So that's it. Kidger out.